Welcome to another episode of How to Be Your Possible Self. In today's episode, we're going to look at the first 7 steps of goal setting. Consider it an introduction to what goal setting is and how powerful it can be if done right. Goal setting as a means of achieving ends more efficiently and speedily has been around for a long time. There's a huge body of academic literature in the business and psychology sciences that points to the power of goals and goal setting. So much literature, in fact, that no one doubts the collective wisdom of so many scientists, real-world practitioners, and the general public who hold the view that goal setting is the best and fastest way of achieving anything. But what exactly is goal setting, and what are the best methods around for setting goals? Some have argued in the past that merely having goals, such as to be rich or to be happy, was enough to set us on a path to fulfilling them. But the overwhelming evidence from critical, cynical, rationalist scientists is that structured goal setting is the best way forward. Certainly you can achieve some of your goals if you write them down. Try this experiment if you don't believe me. Take a piece of paper, write down the 10 things you'd like to achieve by this time next year, fold the paper up, pop it in an envelope, seal the envelope and stick it away in your sock drawer. In 12 months' time, open the envelope and I would bet that at least 40% or 4 out of your 10 goals would have been achieved. That's simply through writing them down and forgetting them. The brain is such a clever little beast that the mere act of writing something down sets it off on a journey to meet the demands you set. Clever little brain, eh? But, you rightly ask, how can I achieve my goals quicker? How can I achieve more of them? To do that we need to look towards a structured method of goal achievement. Having a structure is not something new. Imagine trying to build a house without any plans. You'd sort of just make it up as you go along, find that some walls aren't strong enough to support the ceiling, make loads of mistakes, take loads of time to get to a final product that was habitable, and spend a veritable fortune learning and patching up your mistakes. Certainly, no house builder would ever conceive of building a house without a plan, nor should you conceive of building your life without a plan. Do you think that Bill Gates just sort of stumbled and bumbled his way to his wealth? Do you think that Harrison Ford stumbled and bumbled his way to becoming the most successful male film actor of all time? That Spielberg just lobbed up at an empty car park with a couple of cameras, a microphone and a vague idea about some kids finding an extraterrestrial and taking it home? Do you think I've used enough examples to make my point? Probably. Hundreds of thousands of studies, both scientific and those less scientific experiments conducted by us in the real world of jobs, mortgages, rents, car payments and school books have proven that having a structured approach to goal setting, like a financial budget, is the best way of getting from A to B as quickly and with the least amount of stress as possible. There are loads of books on goal setting. I've written just one of them. There are loads of courses on the subject. What I'm offering here is not some sort of secret law, some universal truth, some magic new elixir that will transport you in a matter of months to heights of personal achievement as yet undreamt. All I'm offering here is a system that's worked for me. It's a system, a process, a structure, a plan, which seems to me to cover all of the bases, the various different elements you read about in the self-help psychology and success motivation books talk about. I know the system works because I tested it on not only myself, but also on several willing guinea pigs. As part of a scientific research project, I ran seminars on this strategy, leaving out what I believe to be a key element in one of the seminars, the psychological concept called the possible self. The results that came back from the seminar attendees proved that at the 0.01 level, that's scientific jargon that means the chance of the findings happen purely by chance, is less than 1%. That leaving out the possible self made a major difference to how people felt they were progressing towards their goals. So, in this, my version of goal setting practice, You have the combined wisdom of thousands of scientists and practitioners from all walks of life: medical, organisational, counselling, business, self-help. To their formidable research findings, I add my own little piece of the jigsaw puzzle, that the possible self is an integral part of a good strategy and should be included in any goal-setting technique. You will find elements of the possible self in many of the steps of goal setting that I'm about to outline. There are 14 separate steps that need to be taken if you are going to get the most out of your goals. By following these 14 steps, which I've broken up into 2 sets of 7, I believe you will speed your progress towards your goals at a pace that will astound you. The 14 steps are 4 key areas, pick just one, desire, belief, write it down, pros and cons, position analysis, deadline, obstacles, knowledge, others, plan, persistence, and lastly, time management. I'll look at the first 7 steps in this podcast episode and the final 7 steps in the next. 4 key areas. I believe that there are 4 elements to our life, 4 different yet interrelated parts of our daily existence that we need to take into account when we consider setting out a template, a roadmap, if you will, for our preferred life. These 4 are personal and family goals, career and business goals, self-improvement goals, and toy goals. I believe to start our journey, we need to have 3 or 4 goals in each of these categories. Let's look at each of these categories in turn and what they mean. Firstly, personal and family goals. In this category, I mean the sort of goals that impact most on your family. Although, of course, you could argue that spending 20 hours a day at work would impact on them too. For example, you could have as a goal spending more time with my family. Or you could have taking more holidays as a personal and family goal. Or developing more patience with the kids, working on the garden, or even painting the living room. Secondly, career and business goals. These are the work-related, income-producing goals that help us fund the lifestyles that we would prefer to have. In here, you could include earning more money, writing more papers, increasing your sales, making better use of your time, and of course, getting a promotion or new job. Then there's self-improvement goals. Here I'm asking you to consider yourself as a DIY project. What's something that you want to learn, like a new skill or another language? What about something that you want to have, like better health or better memory? And finally, toy goals. There needs to be, I feel, some fun toys in your list of goals. These serve as rewards, as pats on the back for all of the hard work you put into achieving other goals. You could have as your toy goals things such as a personal music studio, a helicopter ride, a trip to Paris for shopping, or even a day away from the family. Whatever goals you pick, you need to pick about 3 or 4 from each of the 4 categories. There's no point just picking from one category. Life is all about balance, and when we're not balanced, when we are not having fun or spending time with our family, friends and loved ones, when we are passing up opportunities to learn and grow as individuals, but instead of devoting all our efforts in the pursuit of the mighty dollar, we risk more than just our physical health. There are just too many studies around showing that neglecting other areas of your life for the pursuit of just one is ultimately extremely damaging to you. Look at drug addicts. They pursue pleasure at all costs, and it costs them their mental well-being and often their life. Look at workaholics. They lose their friends, their families, their physical and mental health. Pursuing goals in just one category brings us out of balance, and there's nothing nature abhors more than imbalance. Once we've picked out 3 or 4 goals in each category, we move on to step 2, making a choice. While I've just said that you need to have a range of goals, it would logically follow, you would think, that you therefore pursue them all with dogged determination. But there you're wrong. Now that we have our portfolio of desires, we need to focus all of our energies on just one of them, just one goal. but the one goal that by meeting it, we will achieve most of the other goals we have. Don't try and spread yourself too thin when you work for your goals. Keep all your energy focused on achieving just one goal, bearing in mind that this one goal will help you meet most of your other goals. Once you've picked your one major goal, the one to go for, then move on to step 3. Desire. Many people I know who get to this stage tell me that their goal is something along the lines of making my kids happy or getting a promotion so that we can all go on a big family holiday. 2 points I wish to make about this. Firstly, the latter goal is actually 2 goals, going on holiday and getting a promotion. Be wary of spreading yourself too thin. Secondly, you must intensely desire this goal if you're going to build up the emotional energy needed to achieve it. The goals must be for you, and you must intensely desire your goals. They must burn a hole in your psyche, get you all excited about achieving them. For once, go against your usual behaviour. Be totally selfish about your major goal. What would it do for you? How will you feel about achieving it? Goal setting 4. Belief. Believing that you can actually achieve your goal is essential. If your goal is to earn $1 million in the next 12 months and you currently earn the basic wage, then it's doubtful if you're going to truly believe you can actually meet your goal. That doubt, that lack of belief will undermine your efforts. You won't make the efforts necessary to transport you to your goal. For this reason, it might be a good idea to give your dream goal a reality check. Do you really believe you can achieve it? There are many motivational speakers and writers who say you need huge dreams far bigger than you could possibly believe that you can achieve, to stretch you and motivate you towards these castles. And they're right, but not right for everyone. Whilst it is fun and also important to have these huge daydreams, when we're starting out on the road to becoming our possible self, we need to take baby steps. Otherwise, discouragement and disappointment are our 2 close companions. We need to set realistic targets for ourselves until we have built up the confidence from our previous successes to start believing that we can and will achieve the big goals. Once you've seen the power that a structured goal-setting method like this one can give you, how it can power you ahead at great speed, you'll gain more and more inner confidence in your own abilities, and these massive daydreams can start becoming more believable and achievable to you. But at first, please don't set huge goals that you probably won't meet. It will only upset you, disappoint you, and encourage you to give up and live a life of mediocrity. I suggest that when looking at any growth, be it salary or skills and abilities, you focus your goal on moving up in 50% amounts. Imagine that if you earn X amount of dollars today, you will earn X plus 50% in 12 months' time. Similarly, if you are looking to lose weight, don't set yourself an impossible goal. Set yourself a goal to lose weight in manageable amounts. Once you find yourself achieving these goals, your self-confidence goes up, along with your self-esteem and self-efficacy, and you will find yourself setting more and more challenging goals. But baby steps at first, okay? One thing you also need to do, no matter how big or small your goal might be, is to constantly tell yourself that you already possess the goal. As we saw when we discussed cognitive dissonance earlier, if there is a discrepancy between our reality and our desires, we work to reduce the conflict. If we constantly tell ourselves that we do earn the X plus 50% dollars, or we do weigh so-and-so, we are bringing a great tool to bear. Our mind will try and sort out the conflict, and whichever is stronger wins. If we keep saying to ourselves that we already have our goal, and our belief in it is strong enough, then our mind will work towards bringing it about in reality, purely to reduce the psychic tension and conflict-driven pain. Step 5. Write it down. If you don't write your goals down, they are just mere wishes. Simple as that. By writing them down, we make them concrete. We can see them and we can hear ourselves read them out. We start to program our mind to go out and get them. Wishes by themselves have no emotional energy behind them. They're just fantasies that quickly pass us by. We need the power of emotions behind us to push us on to achieve our goals, to get out of the jail of mediocrity. Do you remember times in your life when you felt strong emotions? Love, anger, hate, pain, happiness? Do you remember how powerful you felt when you had these strong emotions? Do you remember the almost superhuman feelings of strength you had when you truly loved someone? How you would lay down your life for this person? Do you remember the stories in the media that you read from time to time about how mothers trapped inside cars that have rolled over after road accidents have managed to get out of the cars and rescue their children, sometimes lifting the cars off them? Such superhuman strength we have at times of great emotion. By writing your major goal down, you can more easily and repeatedly bring forth the great emotions that are attached to it. Without the emotions and their energy, you won't have the strength or the resilience to weather the challenges and obstacles that always accompany great journeys. Also, while you were dreaming about your major goal, you no doubt felt like you actually had it, that you were driving it or living in it or spending it or reveling in it. Focus your attention on what else was there as you pictured living your goal. What colours? What sounds? What smells? These other elements help us trigger our emotional responses, help us bring forth the emotions that we need to really desire our goal. Something needs to be said here about how you write your goal down. The brain is a fabulous beast, unbelievably clever, and yet at the same time incredibly stupid. For example, we know from scientific research that the brain can only process one thing at a time, albeit time being incredibly short. I'll come back to the extreme importance of this a little later. But the brain, when you are setting it tasks, can also only deal with three things: the positive, the present tense, and the personal. Thus, the brain will only be able to carry out instructions that are positive, as distinct from negative, example coming up shortly, in the here and now, and for our benefit only. Let's have a look at these three elements. Firstly, the positive. The brain only accepts instructions of a positive bent. For example, try and tell yourself to stop smoking. You might say, "I no longer smoke." But what does the brain have to do first before it can acknowledge that you don't smoke? It first has to think of you smoking before it can think of you not smoking. Another example. Many times parents tell their children to please don't drop the plates. Okay, what's wrong with that, you ask? What do the children have to think of first before they can think of not dropping the plates? Dropping them, of course. So, in our smoking example, if we wanted to program our brain to make us act and behave like non-smokers, we need to tell it a positive instruction about our new behaviours. Clearly, instructing it to tell us we are non-smokers isn't going to work. Instead, we need to instruct it with phrases like, "I only breathe in clean, healthy air." Words, instructions like don't, never, can't, non, and so on just don't get accepted by the brain. So why use them? Secondly, the brain only accepts instructions in the present tense. Thus, it is futile having a goal like, "I will earn $1 million." The brain hears the future tense as an instruction for someone else, not it. You need to tell the brain that you earn the $1 million now, not at some time in the future. Finally, the brain only listens to personal statements. Having goals like, "We will be a fitter family," or "We will go on holiday together," or "We will be a closer loving couple," just don't work. While not doubting their emotional pull for you, and not doubting for a moment how important such goals might be to you, your brain just won't accept them as an instruction, and will therefore not do anything to bring them about. We need to make our goals extremely personal. Thus, we could transform the above goals to read something like, "I am fitter. I am going on a holiday with my family. I am a loving person who feels close to my partner." Write your goal down in all its technicolor, sense-around, smell-o-vision glory. Help your brain recall your goal, make it real for your mind's eye. Personal, positive, and present tense. And remember those emotions. Bring them forth. You'll need them for the next step. Step 6. Pros and cons. So you have your major goal, which, once achieved, will help you meet most of your other goals in your toy, personal and family, career and business, and self-improvement categories. Good for you. Well done. Jolly good show. Top hole. Splendid. So what? What makes you think you'll actually achieve it, mate? Why should you? What's so special about your goal that makes you want to achieve it? Go on, tell me what you'll get out of achieving your goal. Come up with some reasons? 1, 2, 5 perhaps? Maybe even 10. The more the merrier. Sit down and write out as many reasons for achieving your goal as you possibly can. Take a few days to thrash out all the possible benefits that you'll accrue from achieving your major goal. Why do all this? Because the more reasons you have for achieving something, the more emotional power you will have to do it. 1 or 2 reasons and you'll have a tiny emotional power behind you. Certainly not enough to carry you through even minor times of doubt or indecision. 10 to 20 reasons and you're starting to build up a powerful force behind you. Enough to carry you through the mildly testing times, but not enough to get you through the really tough stuff. Up to 50 reasons? Why not? And well done if you can. The more reasons you have for building up your emotional commitment to your goal, the better. But get past 50 and up towards 100 reasons and you'll develop an emotional power that is just about unstoppable. Remember, in this instance, more is more. But that's only half the story. You also need to know what you are prepared to give up, to sacrifice, to achieve your goal. So, complete a separate list of things that you will have to give up or lose if you are to achieve this goal. What behaviours or habits do you need to break? Smoking? Avoidance of exercise? Watching TV all evening? The Saturday morning game of golf with friends? That second bottle of red wine at dinner? What will achieving your goal cost you? It must have a cost, otherwise it wouldn't exist as a goal, as a challenge to you. It must cost you something. Time, effort, forcing yourself to take your head out of the sand, having to cope with the initial disapproval of family and friends. List out the costs of achieving your goal. Without knowing and recognising that there are costs to every action, you will find your challenges along your path a lot harder to meet and overcome. Forewarned is forearmed, remember, and knowing both the reasons for achieving your goal and what you will have to give up achieving it is terribly important if you are to avoid any nasty, demoralising surprises along the way. Step 7. Position analysis. Before we can start out on our journey out of mediocrity, we need to know where we currently are. After all, there's no point in having a major goal of purchasing a large house if you've no assets and no savings to use as a deposit. So, take the time to map out where you currently are in relation to where you want to be. Try and see a long line with your major goal at one end and your current position on the other. If you actually draw such a line, it will help you later too. At each stage of your progress towards your goal, you can check where you are on the line and see not only how far is left to go, but also how far you've travelled. Seeing how far you've come along the line can be a great morale booster in times of doubt and setback. So that's the first 7 steps. Draw up a list of desired goals from 4 categories. Pick just one goal that, when achieved, you'll be able to fulfill most of the other goals. Make sure you intensely desire your goal and that it is for you, not someone else. Believe that you will reach your goal and keep telling yourself that you have already reached it. Write your goal down in all its technicolor glory. Determine a list of benefits that you'll reap from achieving your goal. Don't forget, more is more. And keep a map of where you are in relation to where you want to be. Well, that's this episode of the Possible Self podcast wrapped up. If you'd like to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss anything, head to Apple Podcasts, YouTube or Spotify and search for the podcast by name. That is, How to Be Your Possible Self. You can email me at lee@leehopkins.com if something you've heard today sparks your interest. Please make your email subject Possible Self. Thanks, because I receive about 60 emails a day and I'd hate to lose yours in amongst them. In the next podcast episode, we'll look at the remaining 7 steps of effective goal setting. Ciao!